What if I told you that 3 simple stretches, ones you can do right now in your living room, could increase blood flow down there in a matter of minutes? I'm not talking about pills. I'm not talking about pumps or expensive treatments. I'm talking about gentle, natural movements that open up the pathways your blood needs to travel to restore firmness, sensation, and confidence. And the reason most men over 50 have never heard about this is because nobody is teaching it. Your doctor gives you a prescription. The internet gives you confusion. But today, I'm giving you something different. I'm giving you a clear, simple plan that works with your body, not against it. If you've ever noticed things aren't responding the way they used to, if mornings feel different than they did 10 years ago, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share has changed the lives of men I've worked with for over a decade. I'm Dr. Narita, a board-certified urologist with over 12 years of experience helping men take charge of their sexual and overall health. I've had thousands of men sit across from me, many in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who believed that declining performance was just something they had to accept, that it was a natural, irreversible part of aging. And time after time, I've watched simple, targeted movement restore what they thought was gone for good. Not with drugs, not with surgery, with stretches that take less than 5 minutes a day. Before we get into these 3 stretches, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from today. I love connecting with men from all over the world who are taking their health seriously. Whether you're in Texas, Toronto, or Tokyo, let me know. We're building something here, a community of men who refuse to accept decline as inevitable. Now let me explain why this matters so much after 50. Here's the truth that most people don't realize. As you age, your blood vessels naturally become stiffer. The smooth, elastic walls that once allowed blood to rush freely to every part of your body, including your penile tissue, they start to harden. At the same time, your body produces less nitric oxide, which is the molecule responsible for telling those blood vessels to open wide. Think of nitric oxide as the key that unlocks the door. Less key, less access. On top of that, most men over 50 spend the majority of their day sitting, at a desk, in a car, on the couch. And when you sit for hours, your hip flexors tighten, your pelvic floor becomes compressed, and the blood flow to your lower body slows to a trickle. It's like putting a kink in a garden hose. The water is still there, the pressure is still there, but nothing is getting through. That tightness in your hips, that stiffness in your lower back, that heaviness you feel when you stand up after sitting for a long time, those aren't just inconveniences. They are physical barriers standing between you and the blood flow you need for strong, reliable erections. And the beautiful thing is, you can open those barriers back up, starting today. Let's get into stretch number 1. I call this one the deep hip opener, but you might know it as a variation of the butterfly stretch. Here's what you do. Sit on the floor or on the edge of your bed. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall gently out to the sides. Now, sit tall, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, gently lean forward from your hips, not from your shoulders, from your hips. You should feel a deep opening through your inner thighs and into your groin. Hold this for 30 to 60 seconds. Breathe slowly and deeply the entire time. Now let me explain why this works on a biological level. Your inner thighs and groin area contain some of the most important arterial pathways in your body. The femoral artery, which is one of the largest arteries you have, runs right through this region. When your hip adductors, those inner thigh muscles, are chronically tight, they compress these pathways. They literally squeeze the roads that blood needs to travel. When you open this area with a gentle stretch, you decompress those arteries. Blood begins to move more freely. And because the blood supply to the penis branches directly off the internal iliac artery, which feeds through this exact region, you are essentially clearing the highway that leads directly to where you want that blood to go. Emotionally, this is the stretch that men tell me makes them feel like they've been holding tension they didn't even know was there. I remember a patient named Richard, 67, a retired postal worker. He told me he hadn't been able to sit cross-legged in years. His hips were so locked up that even getting out of his car felt stiff and painful. I showed him this single stretch. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, "Doc, I feel like someone opened a valve, not just down there, everywhere. My legs feel lighter, my back doesn't ache as much, and yes, mornings are different. His wife noticed too. That's the kind of change we're talking about. Not dramatic overnight transformations, but a steady, noticeable return of something you thought was slipping away. Practically, here's how to make this part of your day. Do this stretch every morning before you shower. Sit on the edge of your bed, bring your feet together, let your knees drop, and lean forward gently for 45 seconds. That's it. You can even do it while watching the morning news. The key is consistency. Your body will respond, but it needs the daily signal. Now let's move to stretch number 2. And this is the one almost every man gets wrong because they don't realize how connected it is to performance. This is the kneeling hip flexor stretch. Here's how you do it. Kneel down on one knee, like you're about to propose. Your front foot should be flat on the ground, knee bent at 90 degrees. Your back knee is on the ground. Now, keeping your torso tall, gently push your hips forward. You'll feel a deep stretch through the front of your hip and upper thigh on the kneeling side. Hold this for 30 to 45 seconds, then switch sides. Biologically, this stretch targets the psoas and the iliacus muscles, which together form what we call the iliopsoas. This is the deepest hip flexor in your body, and it connects your lower spine directly to your femur. When this muscle is tight, and it is tight in almost every man who sits for more than 4 hours a day, it pulls your pelvis into a forward tilt. That tilt compresses the nerves and blood vessels that run through your pelvic region. It's like someone is gently stepping on the hose. You might still get some flow, but you're not getting full pressure. When you release the psoas, you restore the natural alignment of your pelvis. The pressure comes off those vessels, blood flows more freely, and the nerve signals that trigger arousal and maintain firmness travel without interference. I want to tell you about a man named George, 71 years old, still active, played golf twice a week. George came to me frustrated. He said, "Doc, everything works fine in my head, but my body won't cooperate. I feel the desire, but the response just isn't there." His labs were normal. His heart was healthy. But when I watched him stand up from the exam table, I noticed his posture. His hips were locked forward. His lower back was curved excessively. Classic signs of a man whose hip flexors had shortened over decades of sitting. I gave him this one stretch. I told him to do it every evening before bed, both sides, 30 seconds each. 6 weeks later, George called my office. He didn't even wait for an appointment. He said, "Whatever you did, it's working. I feel like the connection is back." That's the power of releasing tension you didn't even know you were carrying. Emotionally, this stretch gives men back a sense of physical freedom. So many men over 50 describe feeling locked up, stiff, heavy. And that heaviness isn't just physical. When your body feels restricted, your confidence follows. When you open your hips, when you stand taller, when you move with ease, something shifts inside. You feel capable again. You feel like yourself again. Here's the practical piece. Do this stretch every evening. Set a timer if you need to. Right knee down, left foot forward, push hips forward, hold for 30 seconds. Switch. That's 2 minutes of your day. You can do it next to your bed. You can do it in your living room. There's no equipment, no gym, no excuse. And now, stretch number 3. This is the one nobody talks about, and honestly, it might be the most important one of all. This is the pelvic bridge hold. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Now, press through your heels and lift your hips toward the ceiling. Squeeze your glutes at the top and hold that position for 15 to 20 seconds. Lower slowly. Repeat 5 times. Now, this isn't just a stretch. It's a stretch and activation combined. Biologically, when you lift into a bridge, you're doing several things at once. You're stretching the front of your hips and your hip flexors, which we just talked about. But you're also activating your glutes and your pelvic floor muscles. Your pelvic floor is the hammock of muscle that sits at the base of your pelvis, and it is directly responsible for trapping blood inside the penile chambers during an erection. A weak or overly tight pelvic floor cannot do its job. The bridge strengthens and lengthens it simultaneously. Research published in the British Journal of General Practice found that pelvic floor exercises were effective in helping men regain erectile function, with significant improvements seen in just 3 months. But many of my patients noticed changes much sooner. Better firmness, longer lasting, more reliable. I think about Samuel, 69, a quiet man, very proud. He almost didn't come to see me because the topic felt too personal. When he finally did, he said, "I just want to feel like a man again." That sentence broke my heart because he never stopped being one. His body just needed support. I gave him these 3 stretches, this exact routine. I told him to do them every single day, morning and evening, 5 minutes total. A month later, Samuel sat in my office with a different posture. Literally, he was sitting taller. And he told me, "Doc, my wife held my hand last night and said, 'Welcome back.'" That's what we're really talking about here. Not just blood flow, not just erections, connection, intimacy, the feeling that your body is still yours, that it still responds, that you are still in the game. So here's your simple action plan. Every morning, start with the deep hip opener. Sit on the edge of your bed, soles of your feet together, lean forward gently, hold for 45 seconds. Every evening, do the kneeling hip flexor stretch, 30 seconds each side. And twice a day, morning and evening, do 5 pelvic bridge holds, 15 to 20 seconds each. That's it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. No equipment, no gym membership, no prescriptions. Just your body, doing what it was designed to do when you give it the right support. I want you to know something important. If you've been frustrated, embarrassed, or even quietly ashamed about changes you've noticed in your body, you are not broken. Your body isn't betraying you. It's simply asking for something different than what it needed 20 years ago. The blood vessels are still there. The nerves still work. The desire is still alive. Sometimes all it takes is clearing the path, opening the door, giving your body permission to function the way it wants to. Even after 60, even after 70, you are capable of strength, vitality, and deep physical connection. It's never too late to begin. If this video gave you hope, if it made you think even for a moment that things could get better, give it a like so other men can find it. Leave a comment below. Tell me which stretch you're going to try first. I read every single comment and I want to hear from you. Share this with a brother, a friend, a neighbor, someone who might be quietly struggling with this but would never search for it on his own. You might be the reason he takes his first step. And subscribe if you want more natural, science-backed health tips for men over 50. I release new videos every week, and what's coming next is something you won't want to miss. I'm Dr. Narita, reminding you that after 50, vitality isn't lost. It's simply waiting for you to open the door and let it back in. Take care of yourself, gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next one.